Hey y'all, I'm David, and this is a black box with some text on it, and it's going to be a game. So, the last few months I've been programming a simple Java side-scrolling game with enemies and terrain and power-ups, like speed, lots of speed in this game. But it's starting to get a bit boring, so I've decided to start working on a new game. So first I wrote some simple code to manage the display and the keyboard and all that stuff, but that's a bit boring for a video. But if you really do want to watch all of that, it'll be in another video. It should be in a link in the top right corner for you right now if you want to watch that. It's about 25 minutes long of just me trying to write this code, so watch that if you want. Otherwise, let's start making an actual game. So then let's get some code to get a player moving around on the screen. There's a constructor at the top here that takes in information like the starting X and Y positions, the acceleration, and some object-oriented stuff like the level and the game, because that gets referenced later on. Down here we've got some logic for keyboard inputs. So we've got, if you press up, which in my keyboard setup is the W key, and if you later on, if you press space, you'll fire at enemies or whatever. And we also got the rendering code down here to, draw the sprite on the screen. And if I press, I think it's Shift F10 to start the game in the IDE, we've got a player, and we can move them around. That's one of the first simple sprites I drew to show the player. And next, we'll start working on the background. So I've drawn a few stars to work with. These ones are just a few pixels, but I've also drawn 3 extra sprites that are meant to represent Nebula. So we've got this one here, it's just a blob, and they're all different colors. And then we have some code we can write in here that will manage them moving around. So again, we want the stars to seem we want them to move slowly relative to the player to make them make them appear further away, and faster relative to the player to make them appear closer. So you'll see here in the code, we've got in the constructor, we're actually setting a variable called move ratio. So it's actually a random value that's chosen when the star is created, and then every time the game ticks, and that should be once every 60th of a second, assuming the game is running properly, the star will take its move ratio and multiply that by the distance that the player moved. And we're getting that by, at the beginning of the tick, figuring out where the player is, and then at the end of the tick, again, checking the player's position, and then subtracting the first from the second, and that will tell us how far the player moved, multiply that by the distance, by the ratio, and we get how far that star should move. Alright, so let's take a look at the game, and, ooh, okay. So the effect is working, but clearly my textures for the nebulae are not looking so good. Yeah, let's fix that. I think if I just erase a bit on the edges and make them a bit more transparent, it should look better. Alright, so I've made some tweaks to the stars. You can see here that I've adjusted the transparency on all of them so that you can't quite tell that they are, placed inside of a square box. And also, I have rotated a couple of them so that it's not quite so obvious that they were drawn in a square box. Alright, let's see how the game looks now. Oh, another thing is I changed a couple of them to be larger so that they weren't all exactly the same size. And here it is. I think that's much better. And I also decreased the frequency of nebulas, just again to make them look better. I saw that this one right here was appearing way too frequently. Although they should all be the same frequency. They should all be appearing the same just as frequently. So maybe there's just a thing that happened that one time. This time I'm seeing these two appear a lot. And actually, I know why that is. In the star class, we've got this code here that makes them decide what sprite they'll use. So you'll see there's a sprite choice variable right here. It's just randomly chosen. And if it's less than 0.02, so about 2% of the time, it will be a nebula, and the rest of the time, it'll be a star. However, uh, so when the stars get to the bottom of the screen, they move to the top and in a new position left or right also. But they don't change their sprite. So we need to have a new method to change that. So public void change sprite. And I think I should be able to just copy all of this code. There we go. And then we'll go to the level class and no, that's not it. That's not it. Actually, I think it's in here. Yeah, it is. So here it says if the if the star's y level is greater than level.getCameraX plus game.height, which basically means if the star is too far behind the player so that it won't be shown on the screen, then their X position will be randomly changed to something else, and their move ratio will be changed to something new, and thirdly, their Y level will be set to the top of the screen. However, I forgot to change the sprite, so we'll just do change sprite. And since I'm doing that in the same class, I'll make it a private method. Alright, and run it now, and hopefully we'll see that we don't see the same... Oh, that's a bug. They shouldn't be appearing there. So, the fix for that would be their Y level should be... Yeah. I see. This should be before that. That line of code moves them to the top, but you'll see it's moving to the top and then subtract the height of their sprite. But I had them changing their sprite after they move, so that would mean that this would be wrong. So we'll just move the order, and that should fix it. And let's see. That looks right to me. However, I'm not seeing... Oh, there we go. Now I'm seeing them. So they are rare. So yeah, that's how it looks. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah. So in a future episode, we'll be adding some enemies, putting AI in them, and adding some combat functions to the game, so that it will be actually fun and playable. Oh, hold up. Okay, no. For a second there, I thought that the stars were getting rendered on top of the player, which would be a bug. They shouldn't be doing that. But no, we're all good. Alright. So if you have any suggestions for the game, or if you want to ask me a question, just put a comment down below and I'll be sure to answer that. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Also comment. Please let me know what you thought, how I can improve this channel. Yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you later.